I'm William Kumwembe with Business Time. This is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And coming up in the program today, World Bank makes fresh call on fiscal consolidation. We have a report. And also in the program, we look at effects of persistent power outages and what authorities are doing about it. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time and my name is William Kumwembe. In our main story in the program today, Malawi can restore confidence in public finance, protect the vulnerable and unlock capital investment through a credible reform package anchored around fiscal consolidation. This is the message from the World Bank contained in the Bretton Woods Institution's Public Finance Review, a forward-looking report assessing the country's public finance. Titled Restoring Stability, Rebuilding Trust, the report is issued at a time Malawi faces myriad shocks coupled with rising public debt due to mismatches between revenue and expenditure. Journalist Taonga Sabola attended the launch of the report in Lilongwe, from where he gives the major highlights.
The economy is bleeding. Debt levels are becoming too high to sustain. Over 90% of domestic revenue goes towards debt servicing and other statutory expenditures. Fiscal space is narrowing to worrisome levels, but all this emanates from bad policies made by people entrusted to be in charge of the economy. Policymakers fail to be decisive, while technocrats in the public system partake in rampant mismanagement of the resources. But time is ticking. Soon things will become more devastating. This is a warning coming from experts and the World Bank. The bank has just released its report on public finance review, taking the people inside the situation the country is in at the moment. Among the highlights of the report are distortions in the economic management. For instance, the state-owned enterprises have turned from profitability to loss-making. In 2023, for example, the combined profits were 543 billion kwacha, before incurring a loss of 47.6 billion kwacha in 2024, driven mainly by downturns in water and energy sectors. Exchange rate policy also incurred Reserve Bank of Malawi 708.7 billion kwacha in 2023 and 200.4 billion kwacha in 2022 and had to be recapitalized through promissory notes. Experts agree things have to change and it has to be now.
The key takeaway is that as Malawi we need to be decisive, we need to move. The economy is in distress and I think the recommendations that have been made are also in line with what the minister said during the midterm review budget statement, where he was looking at reforms that can be done on the tax side of revenues but also the non-tax revenues. What the panelists have also been able to put forward is the need to broaden indeed the tax base, but making sure that you're not just taxing the very same people. So there needs to be an expansion of the tax base. I think that's one of the important things. And then the other issue was to do with Malawi is not necessarily lacking the resources, but there needs to be more controls in terms of where we are spending the resources and also being able to make sure that we can stop the leakage of losses of public finances.
Among the suggestions for immediate reversal of the situation is domestic debt restructuring. Economics professor at the University of Malawi, Winford Masanjara, says this is unavoidable as debt pressure emanates from domestic debt and not the foreign debt. But Bankers Association of Malawi warns this might create another problem in the financial sector.
I would lean on what the World Bank has said and suggested in their report, where we're looking at a couple of things that need to be considered just beyond the domestic debt restructuring. Maybe it's necessary, but you need a combination of austerity measures on the expenditure side, but also on the revenue side. I think fiscal discipline, fiscal prudence, and fiscal accountability, as we've heard from the report that has been launched today and shared, is the way to go. But I think that must also be supported by accountability, because if people are not held accountable, both and the revenue measures that will be implemented, whether it's to do with VAT or tax measures, but also on the expenditure side.
With all the suggested pathways to recovery, the World Bank says it's up to Malawians to choose which way.
So the question of what to do and how fast to do it is a question for the Malawian government and ultimately for the Malawian people. In the report itself, we had put forth a menu of different reform options, both on the revenue side and the expenditure side. And it's now for the government to think what would be the most feasible way forward and then decide whether it want to really go with a big push scenario or a more gradual scenario. But there are trade-offs, obviously.
With all the economic imbalances, productivity has been low in recent years, sending many Malawians to poverty, as average growth rate has been below population growth, and this threatens development goals.
Now, Malawi's push towards formalization of businesses is gaining momentum, with new data showing that more than 51,899 businesses, 6,532 companies and 220 trusts have been registered through the Malawi Business Registration System since its launch in 2022. The system was developed to ease the process of registering businesses in the country. The Department of the Registrar General says business registration has grown steadily, with the system's first year of operation registering 4,655 businesses. The figure nearly tripled in 2023 to 12,542 before rising to 16,513 in 2024. And by 2025, new registration reached 18,188. More in this report, read in our studios by Benedetta Chuandamia.
According to official Malawi Business Registration System data from the Department of the Registrar General, business registrations have grown steadily since the system was installed in 2022, with the first year of operation registering 4,656 new businesses. The figure nearly tripled in 2023 to 12,542 before rising to 16,513 in 2024. By 2025, new business registrations reached over 18,000. In addition to new registrations, a total of 14,012 businesses, 1,300 companies, and 91 trusts were registered during the period under review. Overall, total registrations covering businesses, companies, and trusts reached 74,054 between April 2022 and December 2025, with an annual average of over 18,500 registrations. In an interview, Registrar General Chikumbutso Namelo said the digital platform has eased registration processes among businesses by making the services more accessible. Namelo said since 2022, the MBRS system has undergone enhancements with financial support under the Financial Inclusion and Entrepreneurship Scaling Finance project to help push for the formalization of businesses in Malawi.
The Department of Registrar General has been a beneficiary of the finance project in a number of impactful ways. First, let me say that the Department of Registrar General has since 2022 been implementing the Malawi Business Registration System. This system was developed and launched in order to ease the process of registering businesses as a tool for formalization of businesses in Malawi, so that Malawians who want to register businesses should not have to come to our offices, which are in Blantyre, Lilongwe, and in Zuzu, in order to access the business registration services. So when the system was launched, Finance came in to support the rollout of the Malawi Business Registration System.
It comes as government has been pushing for the formalization of the informal business sector to expand the revenue base, among others. However, the largest proportion of micro, small and medium enterprises in Malawi still remains informal businesses, with the 2019 Fiscal survey pegging the number at 89% of SMEs, whereas only 11% are formal businesses. As many businesses join the formal sector, it remains to be seen how the same translate into meaningful contribution to the Malawi's economy, as that depends on their long-term survival and good performance amidst a challenging microeconomic environment.
This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country with me, William Kumwembe. We'll be right back.
Every structure begins as an idea, but it's the finishing touches that bring it to life. At Stevenson's Paints, we believe in finishes that do more than cover. They define. From concept to completion, our products support professionals and visionaries at every stage. Whether you're designing a home, building a business, or managing large-scale development, Stevens offers a paint solution tailored for your surface, environment, and standard of excellence. Each product in our range is engineered for lasting performance, precise application, and true color consistency. Tried, tested, trusted. We understand that quality paint isn't just about appearance, it's about protection, value, and long-term results. That's why tradespeople and industry leaders rely on Stevenson's Paints to get it right. The first time, every time.
Welcome back. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And moving on with the program. In Malawi, where less than 12% of the population has access to electricity, the lack of reliable power supply is a major constraint to businesses and economic growth. Malawian firms consistently cite weaknesses in the electricity sector as one of the major obstacles to doing business. When power cuts out, for instance, big firms must either shut down or increase the cost of production by using fewer generators. Inadequate, reliable, and equal access to power drives up the cost of businesses, hindering investment and limiting job opportunities, particularly for the poor. But what are authorities doing about the situation? This is a question Daniel Zimba attempts in this report.
Electricity is the lifeblood of industries and the engine of economies. And in Malawi, a developing nation, the need for sustainable and uninterrupted power is paramount. For years and even now, the nation grapples with persistent power outages, leaving businesses in the dark. In the country, where less than 12% of the population has access to electricity, the lack of reliable power supply is a major constraint. When power cuts out, big firms must either shut down or increase the cost of production by using fewer generators. Indeed, the buzz of the generators is a common background noise in the business and hotels in Blantyre, the country's commercial city. For small-scale business operators, the least they do is to suspend operations. It is 11:45 in a cloudy Monday morning. Most businesses were at a standstill. Gift Piri, a barber here in Ndirandi Township, is just resuming work after hours of idleness due to blackout.
Vuto limene ndikuliona ine oti magesiwa business athu sikuyenda. Ifeyo magesi akamayaka pasiku timathaula kupeza.
Power outages affect our businesses a lot. On a normal day with power, I make up to 70,000 kwacha a day, but during blackouts, my income goes to as low as 20,000 kwacha or less.
He is in a welding business, one he cannot run without electricity.
The blackout challenge is getting worse. Sometimes we go the whole day without power, and in other cases, we have power for a few hours. My business is equally affected because I cannot run it without electricity power. On a normal day with electricity supply, I make up to a minimum of 50,000 kwacha, but with the blackouts, we knock off without any penny.
Unlike peers, Piri has no power backup. He hires from peers when lights go off, a common sight in recent past which has a bearing in his cost of production.
When we are experiencing electricity blackouts, we have an option of hiring a generator, but that means the cost of our operations goes up and the business is negatively affected. As such, we opt not to hire the generators. Our plea is that the authorities should do something to minimize the blackouts.
Piri and Shuaya's stories are not unique. The two are but a fraction of thousands of Malawi's small-scale business operators greatly affected by persistent power outages that have crippled the local economy. Malawian firms consistently cite weakness in the electricity sector as one of the major obstacles to doing business. Malawi's situation is not unique either. In sub-Saharan Africa, approximately 600 million people, 2/3 of the population, live without electricity. Inadequate, unreliable, and unequal access to power drives up the cost of business, hinders investment, and limits job opportunities, particularly for the poor. But here, the situation is worse. Authorities attribute the crisis to a confluence of factors: aging power plants like Nkula B and Kapishira 1, scarcity of foreign exchange for critical spare parts, high sedimentation in hydropower plants, and financial constraints.
We are looking at rehabilitating and modernizing these power plants. So it's already on course. We have already secured financing from African Development Bank for Nkula B, and we're also looking at the EU and the EIB, that's European Union and European Investment Bank, who could also assist us with Kapishira, that we can modernize these plants and they can become reliable and efficient.
But the bottom line is, the situation is worsened by a glaring mismatch between electricity supply and demand. Ejenco, a government-owned energy generating company, only generates 390.15 megawatts, 88% of which is hydropower. It is working on diversifying power generation sources.
Of course, the challenge has been forex, and the same challenge also applies to the maintenance of the machines. That is why we are delaying in most of the maintenances. But on the solar, we are also operating it. The moment we finish this, which we are looking at the end of this month, and then the battery installment in March, we will soon also start the feasibility study for another phase of 20 megawatts for the Salima Solar. So we are looking at finishing off the 50 megawatts at Nanjoka in the next 3 years.
On Sunday, Minister of Energy, Jean Matanga, toured on Ejenco's energy generation plant at Tezani Power Plant in Chikwawa District.
As you know, energy is a critical component of this nation. It is an enabler for industry to thrive. For any essential service to be operated smoothly, we need enough energy, adequate and reliable. Now, government realizes that, and they have promised, the Minister of Finance has promised or has undertaken to make sure that they prioritize payments towards importation of these spare parts.
She vows to support the drive towards increasing power generation for sustainable growth. But as it appears, a foregone conclusion, the path to sustainable power in Malawi has remained complex. But the stakes for business and the economy could not be higher. From the smallest barbershop to the largest factory at the industrial site, the call for consistent electricity is a call for progress.
Meanwhile, Malawi will start importing 50 megawatts of electricity from Mozambique in February 2026, with the government committing to pay $5 million monthly for the power. Minister of Natural Resources, Energy and Mining Jean Matanga announced this on Sunday after touring the Pombeya substation to inspect progress of the project. This comes as earlier deadlines were indicated or set at October this year. Chimwemwe Mangazi has the whole story.
Minister of Natural Resources, Energy and Mining Jean Matanga inspected the Pombeya substation and expressed optimism about the project.
My impression is that we're making very good progress towards completion of the project. The project has been running for some time, but we've just got a very small fraction remaining, and I'm sure we are within our timelines because we are expecting to add about 50 megawatts to the grid from this project come this February. And I must say I'm impressed, and I'm assured that indeed we're going to finish as planned.
ESCOM Acting Chief Executive Officer Sinos Mariano expressed confidence about meeting the deadline as most of the works have been completed.
On the Malawi side, we extended Mpatamanda substation. We are at 99%. We are remaining with the advanced shunt reactor, variable shunt reactor, and we have done 74 kilometers of towers and stringing, which represents around 99%. On the Mozambican side, they are at 98%. The Mpatamanda substation is done, about 100%. And the line, on the line, they are remaining with 2 towers that are connecting Zambezi River. It's about 1.8 kilometers connecting Zambezi River. So they are remaining the 2 towers to finalize.
The electricity import deal is expected to ease the country's crippling load shedding, which has affected households and businesses. The project involves building a 400 kV transmission line from Mpatamanda substation in Mozambique to Mpatamanda substation in Malawi.
Now, in other business news, one of shoe manufacturers in the country is positioned to start making shoe soles thanks to capital boost from cheaper loans under the Financial Inclusion and Entrepreneurship Scaling Project, FINES. Through the World Bank funded project, SMEs are positioned to access cheaper and affordable loans for growth. Benedetta Chuandamia explains.
Since time immemorial, Malawi has remained a predominantly importing nation from essential goods such as medicine, fuel, and agricultural inputs to basic necessities such as food, clothes, including footwear. The leather manufacturing industry has also been slow coming, with few small-scale operators unable to meet the market demand on both quality and volume, many of which also rely on imported raw materials for their finished products. To date, Malawi is yet to start producing its own shoe soles from its barely there footwear manufacturing industry. However, the status will soon be different, as a local leather shoe manufacturer, Trendsetters, is set to become the first manufacturer of shoe soles from February 2026, thanks to a $100,000 affordable loan financing from NBM Development Bank under the FINES project, which is aimed at increasing production and improve product quality. The company's founder and chief executive officer, Titus Kaliaba, said the company used the fund to procure shoe molds from China to complement its direct injection mold machine already procured in 2021, enabling the company to start producing complete shoes that can compete on both the local and international markets.
Over the course of years, we bought a direct injection machine through the Growth Accelerator program, where we are funded $40,000. We were able to buy this machine in 2021. We came in 2022, we installed the machine in 2022. From 2022 to here, we have been producing at least 40 pairs to 100 pairs within a month. But this machinery will be able to produce 500 to 1,000 within a week. We accessed the funding from Development Bank in 2025 April this year. We're expecting to start producing in February once we get the mods. It's been a conversation of back and forth because we need to draw the mods from here and we need to send the figures to China. Once that stage is done, that's when the mods can be produced and they can be sent to us here. We're going to be producing safety boots, school shoes, both male and female, and also combat boots. But introducing the direct injection machine, that's an improvement on its own. That's us improving, and we'll be able to produce the same shoes that people are importing from outside.
Speaking after visiting some SMEs in Blantyre who were financed under FINES project manager Raf Tseka said the loan facilities have performed exceptionally well, achieving 100% liquidation.
We have done really well, and I think it has surpassed the expectations indeed. Because when the funds ended, we started now using the repayments to plow back to the SMEs, so that this good work that we started is continuing.
The liquidity enhancement component of the Finis project aims to increase wholesale financing to participating financial intermediaries, enabling them to scale up lending to SMEs. The project has already pumped in 75 billion kwacha to 48,830 SMEs through 36 financial institutions. The Finis project is financed through an International Development Association loan from the World Bank.
Well, with that story, we've also come to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Thank you for watching. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and goodbye for now.
Every structure begins as an idea, but it's the finishing touches that bring it to life. At Stevenson's Paints, we believe in finishes that do more than cover. They define. From concept to completion, our products support professionals and visionaries at every stage. Whether you're designing a home, building a business, or managing large-scale development, Stevens offers a paint solution tailored for your surface, environment, and standard of excellence. Each product in our range is engineered for lasting performance, precise application, and true color consistency. Tried, tested, trusted. We understand that quality paint isn't just about appearance, it's about protection, value, and long-term results. That's why tradespeople and industry leaders rely on Stevenson's Paints to get it right. The first time, every time.